Okay. Very good day to all my students of class 11 science. Today I would like to discuss and give you some basic concepts of the chapter from class 11 science chemistry. The chapter's name is equilibrium. Firstly, what is chemical equilibrium? Let me explain this in a simple language. Chemical equilibrium. Now, in a chemical reaction, chemical equilibrium is defined as the state at which there is no further change in concentration of reactants and products. That means the concentration of the reactants as well as the concentration of the products, it is not changing. That is in simple language. Okay. One equation has been given over here. Nitrogen gas, hydrogen gas, it is forming ammonia gas. The rate of the forward reaction is equal to the rate of the backward reaction, which means the rate at which ammonia is being formed, it is equal to the rate at which ammonia is dissociating and giving back nitrogen and hydrogen. At equilibrium, the rate of forward reaction is equal to the rate of backward reaction. This is a very important sentence for all of us to understand. Now, equilibrium mixture. The mixture of reactants and products in the equilibrium state is called an equilibrium mixture. So, in a reaction mixture, the mixture of the reactants and products, whenever the entire thing is in equilibrium, it is called equilibrium mixtures. Now, based on the extent to which the reactions proceed to reach the state of equilibrium, these may be classified into three groups. So, equilibrium may be classified into three groups now. First one, the reactions which proceed almost to completion and the concentration of the reactants left are negligible. This is one type. The reactions in which proceed almost to completion and the concentration of the reactants left are negligible. That is number one. Number two, my dear students, the reaction in which most of the reactants remains unchanged. That is, only small amounts of products are formed. This is the second classification of the state of equilibrium. The reaction in which most of the reactants, they remain unchanged. That is, only small amount of products are formed. Third one, the reactions in which the concentration of both the reactants and products are comparable when the system is in equilibrium. This third point becomes more important now. Okay, I repeat the third point once more. The reactions in which the concentration of both the reactants and the products are comparable when the system is in equilibrium. Okay, now let us see much in detail. Moving to the next slide over here. What is chemical equilibrium? There is a question over here. Question. Chemical equilibrium refers to the state of a system in which the concentration of the reactant and the concentration of the products do not change with time and the system does not display any further change in properties. So, you must be able to remember this concept over here. It refers to the state of system in which the concentration of the reactant, maybe in moles per liter, okay, or partial pressures, concentration of the reactant and the concentration of the products do not change with time and the system does not display any further change in properties. That is called chemical equilibrium. Okay, much to elaborate it in a better way, when the rate of the forward reaction is equal to the rate of the reverse reaction, the state of the chemical equilibrium is achieved by the system when there is no further change in the concentration of the reactants and the products due to equal rates of the forward and reverse reaction, the backward reaction. The system is said to be in a state of dynamic equilibrium. One new word over here under equilibrium. Here, the state over here, when there is no further change in the concentrations of the reactants and the concentration of the products due to the rates equal rates of the forward and the backward reaction, then the system is said to be in a state of dynamic. That means it is equilibrium, the rate at which the reactants are reacting and the products are being formed. They are equal, so that there is reaction is happening in the forward direction also, reaction is happening in the backward direction also. That is why it is dynamic in nature. So this equilibrium is called dynamic equilibrium. Try to remember this as well. Now, if you look at a plot over here, concentration versus time. Reactants in the beginning, it is concentration of the reactant is high, concentration of the product is 0. So as time goes by in this direction, the concentration of the reactant is decreasing and the concentration of the product is increasing. So a time comes when they are same, and then finally the concentration of the product becomes more, concentration of the reactant becomes low, and then we see a straight line. A straight line. With time, the concentration of the reactants and the products, they are uniform. It is same. Okay. So that time it is said to be in a state of dynamic equilibrium. Okay. Now let us move to the next slide, my dear students. Why? Another question over here. Another very, very important question. Why is chemical equilibrium called a dynamic equilibrium? Which can be asked, The stage at which the rate of the forward reaction is equal to the rate of backward reaction is called an equilibrium stage. At this point, the number of reactant molecules converting into products and product molecules into reactants are the same. Another important, it is more opening up, this concept is opening up, I believe, in your mind. At this point, when the equilibrium stage is reached, achieved by the system, the number of reactant molecules converting into products and the product molecules converting into reactants are the same. The same equilibrium can be carried out with the same reactants anywhere with similar conditions with continuous interchanging of molecules. Hence, chemical equilibrium is dynamic in nature. Am I clear? Okay. That was a brief introduction about the meaning of equilibrium, chemical equilibrium being dynamic in nature. Now, moving to another important concept over here. What is the law of mass action? In this chapter, what is the law of mass action? Now, to explain this, I have done a derivation over here. The law of mass action states that the rate of the reaction is proportional to the product of the concentration of each reactant. I repeat once more. Better learn this sentence. The law of mass action states that the rate of a reaction, the rate at which the reaction happens, it is directly proportional to the product of the concentration of each reactant. Let us understand this in much better way. Consider there is a reaction reacting between A and B to form the products. Now, according to the law of mass action, rate at which A reacts is directly proportional to concentration of A. Or concentration we write in this square bracket like this. Okay, concentration is mentioned this way. So whenever you see in the future in chemistry any reactant or product within square bracket, that means concentration of that particular entity. Similarly, for the above reaction, rate at which B reacts is directly proportional to concentration of B. Therefore, rate at which A and B react together is directly proportional to concentration, product of the concentration of A and B. That is equal to K. It is a rate constant. It's also called velocity constant into concentration of A into concentration of B. Now, remember K is a velocity constant. Now, for the most general reaction, if we take a general reaction like this, AA plus PB plus CC giving the products, so the rate of the reaction will be proportional to concentration of A raised to its stoichiometric coefficient A into concentration of B raised to its stoichiometric coefficient B, small b, into concentration of C raised to its stoichiometric coefficient C, and so on. Okay, so for any general reaction, this is what you'll have to write about the rate of the reaction in terms of its proportionality. moving further, that Kc, the equilibrium constant Kc, in this chapter, equilibrium constant Kc. What is Kc? Let us try to understand now. The concentration of reactants and products at equilibrium are constant at a given temperature. That is why the rate of a reaction, when you want to convert that proportionality into an equal to sign, we have to introduce this constant, which is called equilibrium constant, as Kc in terms, when the concentration is taken in terms of moles per liter or concentration. Let us understand this in a much better manner. Consider the following reversible reaction where A and B are the reactants and C and D are the products. Okay, have a look at this very carefully. Okay, equation 1. A mixture of products and reactants in a state of chemical equilibrium, dynamic in nature, is known as an equilibrium mixture. There exists a relationship between the concentration of products and the concentration of reactants for an equilibrium. Okay, now let us get back to this. Now, a mixture of products and the reactants in a state of chemical equilibrium is known as equilibrium mixture. There exists a relationship between the concentration of products and the concentration of reactants for an equilibrium mixture. So, when I am taking into my mind the entire mixture, then the equilibrium constant Kc, it is equal to the product of the concentration of the products divided by the product of the concentration of the reactants. So this is one important thing to understand over here. Now, here, my dear boys, Kc is called the equilibrium constant. In this equation, the concentration of A at equilibrium is represented as A within brackets. Similarly, for B, C and D, the stoichiometric coefficient of the reactant and products are all 1. It has been experimentally observed that the equilibrium constant is also dependent on the stoichiometric coefficient of the reactants and the product. That's why it depends. It depends. The stoichiometric coefficient may not be 1, may not be 2, may not be 3, whatever, Therefore, the law of mass action indeed dictates that the equilibrium constant at a given constant temperature is equal to the product of the concentration of the products raised to the respective stoichiometric coefficients divided by the product of the reactant concentration, each raised to the corresponding stoichiometric coefficient. For example, over here, let me make it more elaborate over here for all of you to understand. Say there is a reaction AA plus small b, reversible reaction, small c, capital C plus d. Now this small a, small b, small c and small d are the stoichiometric coefficient. Therefore, according to law of mass action, the equilibrium constant for this reaction will look like something like this. Concentration of C raised to the power of small c, concentration of D raised to the power of small d, divided by concentration of A raised to the power of small a into concentration of B raised to the power of small b. So this is according to the law of mass action, and this is known as equilibrium law or the law of chemical equilibrium. Okay, I hope this is very clear to all of you. Now, let us move to the next slide. Let's do this in detail. Law of chemical equilibrium, my dear students. Let us consider a general reversible reaction A plus B. It's giving C plus D. At equilibrium, suppose the active masses of A, B, C and D are represented as A within brackets, B, C and D within brackets respectively. Now to this reversible reaction, A plus B is giving C plus D. If we apply the law of mass action, the rate of forward reaction is directly proportional to the concentration of A, product of the concentration of A and B, that is equal to Kf, rate constant for the forward reaction, into A into B, where Kf is called the velocity constant for the forward reaction. Note it. Similarly, my dear students, rate at which C and D react together, that is rate of backward reaction, is directly proportional to the product of the concentration of C and D, that is equal to Kb, that is the velocity constant for the backward reaction, okay, C into D. Now at equilibrium, keep in mind, always at equilibrium, the rate of forward reaction is equal to the rate of backward reaction. Hence, we can say Kf, product of concentration of A and B, is equal to Kb, product of concentration of C and D. That is according to the law of vertical mass action at chemical equilibrium. This is an equation over here. Then, now I rearrange this. Therefore, Kf by Kb becomes CD divided by AB. Now, this much Kf by Kb, the rate of the forward reaction divided by rate of the backward reaction, it is called equilibrium constant. So now you should keep in mind Kc is equal to Kf by Kb. Very, very important concept over here to understand and remember. Now this K is represented as Kc. It is called equilibrium constant when the concentration are taken in terms of concentration moles per liter. Now, looking at the definition over here, the law of chemical equilibrium may be stated as the product of the molar concentration of the products each raised to the power equal to its stoichiometric coefficient divided by the products of the molar concentration of the reactants each raised to the power equal to its stoichiometric coefficient. It is constant and at constant temperature and is called equilibrium constant. That is all about Kc. This is called the law of chemical equilibrium. Okay. Now, moving to the next slide, note that it is customary to use Kc for equilibrium constant expressed in terms of concentrations. But if we talk about gaseous reactions where the gaseous reactions are in equilibrium, we call it for gas phase reactions. When the reactants and the products are gaseous, it is denoted by Kp, K and P. So Kp is equal to P partial pressure of C raised to 1 into partial pressure of D raised to 1 divided by partial pressure of A raised to the power of 1 into partial pressure of B raised to the power of 1. So whenever you're talking about gases reactions which are entirely gaseous, then we have to have the equilibrium constant in terms of Kp. Okay. Now moving ahead to the next slide over here. Again, what is equilibrium constant? This I think it is very clear to all of you. I will not go through this again and again. Next slide. Same thing over here. Partial pressure is done over here nicely. Now have a look over here. Equilibrium constant, reaction quotient and Gibbs free energy. There is one term over here, Gibbs free energy, which you will understand when you have done the chapter thermodynamics. Now, Gibbs free energy, it is the energy which is available to do some useful work. Okay, Gibbs free energy is the energy which is available to do useful work. So there is an relationship between equilibrium constant, reaction quotient QC and Gibbs free energy. Let us see what it is. Now we know K is the ratio of the relative amount of products to reactants at equilibrium, while Q is the ratio at any point of time of the reaction. The Q value can be compared to K to determine the direction of the reaction to take place. Now the spontaneity of the process is related to the free energy change. Delta G gives free energy, K is equilibrium constant and Q is reaction quotient are related as below. Remember this. Now let me tell you once more. K is what? K is the ratio of the reactants and the products. Okay. And Q is the ratio at any point of time of the reaction. Okay. And over here delta G is Gibbs free energy. Okay. So we can know about the spontaneity of the reaction by knowing these three, delta G, QC or Kc. Number one, delta G less than 0 and QC less than Kc or Kp at the start of the reaction. The reaction will proceed to form the products. The reaction will happen in the forward direction. Learn this. Delta G must be less than 0 and QC the reaction quotient must be less than the equilibrium constant or Kp during the start of the reaction, then the reaction will proceed in the forward direction. Number 2, delta G is equal to 0, lovely, and Qc is equal to Kc or Kp at equilibrium, whenever it has reached equilibrium, and no more changes in the concentration of the mixture is happening, so that time it is what? Equilibrium. Okay. Number 3, if delta G is greater than 0, this free energy change is greater than 0, and Qc is also greater than 0 or Kp after equilibrium, the reaction will proceed in the direction to form the reactant, that is backward reaction. So please remember these three relations over here. Delta G equal to 0 means equilibrium. Delta G less than 0 means the reaction will happen in the forward direction. Delta G greater than 0 means the reaction will happen in the backward direction. Now I have told you already, Kc means equilibrium constant measured in moles per liter, and Kp is equilibrium constant calculated from the partials pressure. Okay. Now have a look at this diagrammatic illustration over here. It will help you to remember these 3 points over here. Before equilibrium, Qc is less than Kc. At equilibrium, Qc is equal to Kc, and after equilibrium, Qc is greater than Kc. So whenever Qc is greater than Kc, the reaction comes back down in the backward direction. Whenever Qc is less than Kc, the reaction happens in the forward direction. Very, very important diagrammatic illustration for all of you to understand this. Okay. Now, I hope you can make a note of this point over here. Okay, knowing the values of equilibrium constant Kc, reaction quotient Qc, and Gibbs free energy, it is able to estimate the spontaneity of the reaction. Okay, I repeat once more. If delta G is less than 0 and Qc is less than Kp or Kc, then the reaction will happen in the forward direction. If delta G is equal to 0 or Qc is equal to Kp or Kc, the reaction is at equilibrium. And number 3, if delta G is greater than 0 or Qc is greater than Kp or Kc, the reaction will happen in the backward direction. So this slide is a very, very important slide. Okay. Moving further to the next slide, my dear students. Relationship between Kc and Kp. This is asked. Derivation is necessary. Very, very important. Consider a reaction, general reversible reaction. Cc plus dt is giving AA plus Bb. Okay. Or AA plus Bb is equal to Cc plus dt. Anyway, you can write down. So Kc becomes like this. Now, if the equilibrium involves gaseous species, then the concentrations are replaced by partial pressures of the gaseous substances. The equilibrium constant in terms of partial pressure is written in this manner. Kp is equal to P, Cc, P, Dd, and so on. Okay, now remembering the ideal gas equation, we know PV is equal to nRT or P is equal to nRT by V. P is equal to what? N by V RT, you know. Okay, where P is the pressure of PA, N is the number of moles of the gas, V is the volume in meter cube, liters, T is the temperature in Kelvin, and N by V is molar concentration. So N by V, it is called molar concentration. So we can have P is equal to CRT. Okay, now my dear students, now substitution can be done and we can write Kp instead of over here, instead of PCC, we can put the values of P over there in the relationship. And we can get CC, RTC, DD, RTD, AA, RTA, BB, RTB. Now, this CC, DD, AA, BB, it is called KC. This one is how much? This is what? This is KC. Okay. So, therefore, Kp is equal to Kc, RT to the power of delta N. This product of the stoichiometric coefficient of the products minus product of the the sum of the stoichiometric coefficient of the reactant, that is delta N. Okay, remember this. So this is the relationship which you have to remember and be able to derive. So Kp is finally equal to Kc RT to the power of delta N. Remember this and practice this illustration, this derivation from your textbooks. Okay, now there are some characteristics of equilibrium constant which has to be dealt nicely. Okay, the first characteristics, it is reaction specific. Equilibrium constant is reaction specific and at a constant temperature it is fixed. at a particular constant temperature, the reaction, the equilibrium constant is fixed. A catalyst changes the rate of forward and backward reaction equally, not to affect the value of the equilibrium constant. So, a catalyst will not affect the value of equilibrium constant. Number 3. Changes in concentration, pressure, temperature, inert gases may affect the equilibrium, favoring either forward or backward reaction, but at the end of the day, not the equilibrium constant. Number 4. This equilibrium constant related to free energy, delta G naught is equal to minus RT ln Kc. Remember this, very important equation, equilibrium constant. Number 5. For the same reversible reaction, Kc has different values at different temperatures. That means for the same reaction, same reversible reaction which is happening at different temperatures, Kc will have different values. Okay. Number 6. The equilibrium constant of the reverse equilibrium is the reciprocal of the original equilibrium. That is, K reversible is equal to 1 by K reversible is equal to 1 by K reversible for the backward reaction. Number 7. If the equilibrium reaction stoichiometry is changed, the power of the equilibrium constant also gets changed by the same quantity. Number 8. If the equilibrium constant for the reaction A plus B is giving C plus D is K, then the equilibrium reaction 3A plus 3B giving 3C plus 3D will be K3. K3, 3 is there, so it will be K to the power of 3. Number 9. In case stepwise multiple equilibria leading to the final products, the equilibrium constant of the net equilibrium, that is equal to product of each stepwise equilibrium constant. Therefore, the net equilibrium will become K will be equal to, if a reaction is happening in more than one step, so the net equilibrium constant will be equal to K1 plus K2 plus K3. Okay. Number 10. Simultaneous equilibrium reactions having the common product, the equilibrium constant of the reaction does not change. Due to higher concentration of the common product, the product concentration will be reduced. Okay, so these are some few characteristics of the equilibrium constant. Now, application. What is the use of equilibrium constant? What information does it give for a particular reversible reaction happening? Okay, let us see that. Now, here, equilibrium constant for predicting the extent of reaction. By knowing the value of equilibrium constant and comparing it for the same reaction at different temperatures maybe, or for different reactions, it is possible for us to know the extent or predict the extent of the reaction, that is the degree of disappearance of the reactants. The magnitude of the equilibrium constant gives an idea of the relative amount of the reactant and the products. Case 1, let us look at case 1. The larger value of equilibrium constant greater than 10 to the power of 3 shows that forward reaction is favored. That is, the concentration of product is much larger than that of the reactants at equilibrium. Now, example is over here. See, hydrogen gas, bromine gas, hydrogen bromide gas. Kc is 5.4 10 to the power of 18. Come to hydrogen and chlorine. Kc is 4 in 10 to the power of 31 higher. Hydrogen and oxygen, water. Kc is 2.4 10 to the power of 47. So, among these three, this looks, you can see over here, this shows that equilibrium, the concentration of the product is very, that is, reaction go almost to completion. That means the values are not negative. The values of Kc are very high, which means the reaction goes almost to completion. Okay. Now, case 2. Intermediate value of equilibrium constant 10 to the power of minus 3 to 10 to the power of 3. That time it was up to 10 to the power of 3. Now it is coming between 10 to the power of minus 3 to 10 to the power of 3. Show that the concentration of the reactants and products are comparable. For example, Fe, ferric ion in thiocyanate solution, it is forming ferrocyanide in aqueous solution. Kc is 138 only. Hydrogen iodine, it is 57 at 700 Kelvin. Temperature is just different. Okay, so here you can compare them. Okay. Case 3. Low value of equilibrium constant, then for a minus 3 shows that the backward reaction is favored. That is, concentration of reactant is much larger than that of product. That is, the reaction proceeds to a very small extent in the forward direction. Example is over here. In negative, in negative. It is in negative. Okay. So these are the three cases which you need to understand. Now, equilibrium constant for predicting the direction of a reaction. The equilibrium constant can be used to predict the direction of the reaction. I've been telling this for the second or third time. We need a term, reaction quotient QC. I've told you that term already. If delta G is greater than less than 0, or QC is less than Kp, the reaction goes in the forward direction. Okay, so keeping that concept in mind, okay, QC expressed in terms of concentration or QP expressed in terms of partial pressures, similarly to the equilibrium constant, except that the conditions are not at equilibrium. Let's take this example over here. A plus BB is giving CC plus DD. Reaction quotient is QC or Kp depending upon the concentration of whether gases or in solution state. So QC is same, QP is same over here. Now comparison with Kc and the reaction of the reaction. If Q is equal to Kc, the reaction is in equilibrium. Another important point where Kc is called equilibrium constant. If Q is greater than Kc, Q will tend to decrease so as to become equal to K. As a result, the reaction will go in the backward direction. So whenever QC is greater than Kp or Kc, the reaction goes in the backward direction. Otherwise, if Q is less than Kc, the reaction will proceed in the forward direction. Okay. Now, there are some factors affecting the equilibrium constant. Please note this. Some factors that affect equilibrium constant are change in concentration of any product or reactant at a particular time. That is going to affect the equilibrium constant. Please learn these factors. Change in pressure of the system is going to affect the equilibrium constant. Change in temperature of the system is definitely going to affect the equilibrium constant. Addition of inert gas, addition of catalyst. So remember these factors which affect equilibrium constant. Next, types of chemical equilibrium. Chemical equilibrium, you must be having a good idea about chemical equilibrium. What is chemical equilibrium? When the rate of a reversible reaction, in a reversible reaction, when the rate of the forward reaction is equal to rate of the backward reaction, then we call it chemical equilibrium, which is dynamic in nature. Now here, types. There are basically two types of chemical equilibrium. The first one is homogeneous equilibrium and the other one is heterogeneous equilibrium. Now let us understand what is homogeneous. Now coming to homogeneous chemical equilibrium. Now in this type of equilibrium, the reactants and the products of chemical equilibrium are in the same phase. If it is solid, everything is solid. If it is liquid, everything is liquid. If it is gases, everything is liquid. Gas. Okay. So homogeneous equilibrium can be further divided into two types. Reaction in which the number of molecules of product is equal to the number of molecules of reactants. For example, over here, H2 plus I2, 2Hi, N2 plus O2, 2NO. Okay. Number of molecules of the product is equal to number of molecules of reactant. This is one type. The other type is reaction in which the number of molecules of the products is not equal to the total number of reactant molecules. Over here, have a look. 2 plus 1 is 3. But here it is 2 only. Here it is 1. Here it is 2. So this is not equal. Okay. So these are two examples of homogeneous chemical equilibrium. Okay. This also can be categorized into two types over here. Type 1. Over here type 2. Okay. In type 1, the number of molecules of the products is equal to the number of molecules of the reactants. Okay. Now, coming to heterogeneous chemical equilibrium, in this type, the reactants and the products of chemical equilibrium are present in the different phases. The reactant may be solid, the product may be gaseous. Okay, it depends like that. A few examples are given over here. Carbon dioxide gas, carbon is solid, carbon monoxide gas. So this is heterogeneous equilibrium. Calcium carbonate solid, this is solid but this is gas. This is another heterogeneous equilibrium. Thus, the different types of chemical equilibrium are based on the phase of the reactants on the products. Okay, so we have understood slightly a very brief, very simple idea about types of chemical equilibrium. Just remember over here, homogeneous and heterogeneous. Homogeneous, there are two types in which the number of molecules of the reactant and the products are same, and type 2 in which the number of molecules of the product and the reactants are not same. Under heterogeneous, we see over here the phase of the reactant and products are not same, but they are in equilibrium. Okay. Now again, let me revise this. Factors affecting chemical equilibrium: concentration changes, equilibrium changes; pressure changes, temperature changes, equilibrium changes; addition of catalyst, equilibrium changes. Okay, these are the factors affecting chemical equilibrium, not equilibrium constant. Okay. Now, there is one very important principle in this chapter, which is called Le Chatelier's principle. It is called Le Chatelier's principle. Okay. If there is any change in the factors affecting the equilibrium conditions, the system will counteract or reduce the effect of the overall reaction transformation. This principle applies to both chemical and physical equilibrium. That means every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So, if there is any change in the factors affecting the equilibrium, like the factors affecting the equilibrium are concentration, pressure, temperature and catalyst. So, if there is a change in any of these factors, then what will happen? This is going to affect indirectly the overall transformation. Okay, and that is going to affect the reaction, the forward or the backward reactions. There are several factors like temperature, pressure and concentration of the system which affect equilibrium. Some important factors affecting chemical equilibrium are discussed below. Let's discuss them slowly. Change in concentration. The concentration of the reactants or products added is relieved by the reaction which consumes the substance which is added. That means if I increase the concentration of the reactant, then the reaction will proceed in the forward direction. Okay. Then the concentration of the reactant or products removed is relieved by the reaction which is in the direction that replenishes the substance which is formed. Suppose I remove any one of the products or the reactants. So depending upon what is less to attain equilibrium, the reaction happens in that particular given direction. Then when the concentration of the reactant or product is changed, there is a change in the composition of the mixture in chemical equilibrium. That is one factor discussed in 3 points. Then change in pressure. Change in pressure happens due to change in the volume. Volume and pressure are related according to the gas law. If there is a change in pressure, it can affect the gaseous reaction as the total number of gaseous reactants and products are now different. According to Le Chatelier's principle, in heterogeneous chemical equilibrium, the change of pressure in both liquids and solids can be ignored because the volume is independent of pressure. So according to Le Chatelier's, now the volume is independent of pressure. So in the case of heterogeneous chemical equilibrium, the change of pressure in both liquids and solids can be ignored. We have to ignore because there is solid, there is liquid. Okay. Then next one is change in temperature. The effect of temperature on chemical equilibrium depends upon the sign of delta H, enthalpy of the reaction, and follows Le Chatelier's principle. As temperature increases, the equilibrium constant of an exothermic reaction decreases. Remember this. As temperature increases, the equilibrium constant of an exothermic reaction decreases. It becomes less. Value becomes less. In an endothermic reaction, the equilibrium constant increases with increase in temperature. Along with equilibrium constant, the rate of the reaction is also affected by the change in temperature. As per Le Chatelier's principle, the equilibrium shifts towards the reactant side when the temperature increases in case of exothermic reaction. Very important sentence. The equilibrium shifts towards the reactant side when the temperature increases in case of exothermic reaction, when heat is given up. For endothermic reactions, the equilibrium shifts towards the product side with an increase in temperature. Then number 4, effect of catalyst. How does catalyst affect the chemical equilibrium? A catalyst does not affect the chemical equilibrium. Note it, very important point. It only speeds up a reaction. In fact, catalyst equally speeds up the forward as well as the backward reactions. This results in the reaction reaching its equilibrium faster. The same amount of reactants and products will be present at equilibrium in a catalyzed or non-catalyzed reaction. The presence of a catalyst only facilitates the reaction to proceed through a lower energy transition state of reactant or product. So suppose there is a reaction happening, if the reaction is happening this way, you know, if there is a catalyst, the energy is lower, okay, in the presence of catalyst. Now, effect of addition of an inert gas. When an inert gas like argon is added to a constant volume, it does not take part in the reaction, so the equilibrium constant remains undisturbed. So remember number 4 and 5. Catalyst does not affect chemical equilibrium, neither does the addition of inert gas affects the equilibrium of a reaction. If the gas is added to a reactant product involved in the reaction, then the reaction quotient will change. Okay. Then examples of chemical equilibrium. In chemical reactions, reactants are converted into products by the forward reaction, and the products may be converted into reactants by the backward reaction. The two states, reactants and products, are different in composition. After some time of the start of the reaction, the rate of the forward and the backward reactions may become equal, okay, whenever there is equilibrium. After this, the number of reactants converted will be formed again by the reverse reaction, such that the concentration of reactant and products do not change anymore. Hence, the reactant and products are in chemical equilibrium. Okay. Dinitrogen tetroxide forming nitrogen dioxide. Phosphorus pentachloride forming phosphorus trichloride and phosphorus dichloride. Nitrogen combining to form with hydrogen to form ammonia. Okay. Now, look at the importance of chemical equilibrium. Now, chemical equilibrium importance. It is useful in many industrial processes like preparation of ammonia by the Haber's process. In this, nitrogen combines with hydrogen to form ammonia. The yield of ammonia is more at low temperature, high pressure, and the presence of iron as a catalyst. Next one is over here, preparation of sulfuric acid by contact process. In this process, the fundamental reaction is the oxidation of sulfur dioxide into sulfur trioxide. So this involves chemical equilibrium as well. Okay. Now problem. This one problem based on chemical equilibrium. The equilibrium constant Kp for the reaction is given. It is a gaseous reaction, so Kp. It is given 1.6 10 power of -4 atmosphere -2 at 400 degrees Celsius. What will be the equilibrium constant of the chemical equilibrium at 500 when the temperature is changed from 400 degrees to 500 degrees Celsius? Okay. You will find some similar numericals, short numericals in your textbook. Okay, class 11 textbook, Dr. S.C. Srivastava. Okay. Now, if the reaction, they are telling us what will be the equilibrium constant of the reaction which is at equilibrium at a higher temperature. If the heat of the reaction at this temperature range is -25.14 kilocalories. Solution. Equilibrium constant at different temperatures and heat of reaction are given over here. Log Kp2 -25, kilocalories converted to calories, divided by 2.303 into 2. Temperature difference plus this log over here. Okay. So it is coming to -4.835. So Kp2 is 1.462 10 power 5 atmosphere. Okay. So here you must remember this. There is a formula being applied over here. Okay. From the ideal gas equation. Another question. The question is given hydrogen plus hydrogen ammonia. Find Q, reaction quotient, and determine which direction the reaction will shift in order to reach the state of chemical equilibrium. Nitrogen concentration is given, hydrogen is given, and K value is given. Okay, Kp is given. Since only nitrogen and hydrogen concentration is given, it can be assumed as the reactants and ammonia as the product. Since ammonia concentration is not given at, it has to be assumed to be 0 in the beginning. As Q is the ratio of the relative concentration of products to reactants, where Q is equal to 0, since K is 0.04, it is larger than Q. Q is 0, therefore K is larger than, therefore nitrogen and hydrogen will combine to form the product ammonia. Okay, these are two simple problems, so concept based. Now dynamic, I have already explained what is dynamic equilibrium, no need to explain again and again. Then try to remember these differences over here between dynamic and static equilibrium. This type of equilibrium is reversible in nature, whereas static equilibrium is irreversible in nature. Now, dynamic equilibrium implies that the reactant and the products are still participating in chemical reaction, whereas in static equilibrium, there is no further chemical reaction in the system. Number 3. In dynamic equilibrium, the forward and the backward reactions rates are equal. In static equilibrium, the forward and backward reaction rates are 0. 0. Okay. Number 4. Dynamic equilibrium can only occur in closed systems, whereas static equilibrium can occur in both open and closed systems. Okay. This is an important difference between static and dynamic equilibrium. Better learn it. Okay. Then examples of dynamic equilibrium. Just read through it. I'm waiting for you all to read it. Okay. Examples of dynamic equilibrium. A few important examples of dynamic equilibrium in our everyday life are listed below. A new bottle of an aerated drink has a specific value for the concentration of carbon dioxide present in the liquid phase in it. When the bottle is opened and half of the drink is poured out of it, the liquid carbon dioxide is slowly converted into gaseous carbon dioxide until a new point of equilibrium is reached, and the rate of conversion of carbon dioxide from gas to liquid is equal to the rate of conversion of carbon dioxide from liquid to the gaseous state. That is one example. The single phase system with acetic acid undergoes dissociation leading to an acid-base equilibrium. Here, the state of dynamic equilibrium can be described by the following reaction. Acetic acid, it is dissociating partially to give acetate ions and hydrogen ions in aqueous solution. In the gaseous state, phase can be observed in the dimerization of nitrogen dioxide. Nitrogen dioxide dimerizes to form dinitrogen tetroxide. Now there is a law, important law over here. Henry's law. Henry's law is applicable in the first example of dynamic equilibrium provided above, wherein the equilibrium concentration of carbon dioxide in the liquid phase is proportional to the partial pressure of the carbon dioxide gas in the bottle. Also, industrial synthesis of ammonia by Haber's process between nitrogen and hydrogen to form ammonia gas. So that is application of Henry's law. Okay. Now the next thing that I'll be doing in this chapter is chemical equilibrium in my next video. Okay. So till now, revise till over here Henry's law, and in my next video I'll be giving you the statement for the Henry's law as well. Okay. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.